Don't need this. Oh, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things, and on this Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. We're going to talk about my first week with my beautiful Leica M4 camera. I've been using this for a little over a week now. I've shot a couple rolls. We'll talk about that a bit. We are going to have some very interesting feedback from hashtag askstuffandthings, including the reveal at long last of the mystery blend. This was such a fun video, and it's going to be fun to go through this. But when Les Brady sent me that blend, that was just the mystery Riddler blend. I did a video in which I tried it out, and I tried to tease out the different components and make a decision as to what blend do I think this is. There's a very cool comment thread, or a fun comment thread in the Patreon post for that video, and I will reveal at long last the secret, what that mystery blend was. And then of course we'll have Patreon shoutouts and updates, things that you can look forward to exclusively to Patreon this coming week. So stay tuned. All right, gang. I own a Leica M4 now. It's still kind of hard to get my head around that. It's funny to me that this is a camera like I never dreamed I would own. And now that I have it, I find it very kind of cool that most people don't even notice that I have it. So when I would go out with my Nikon FE2, when I still go out with my Nikon FE2, people notice it. They talk about it, they mention it, they see it, they stare at it. Everyone always talks about my FE2, and I just think because it looks like, I don't know if it looks intimidating, but it's a black SLR. It looks just very classic film camera. And people are either slightly intimidated by it because they see me with it and they're like, oh, is he gonna take my picture? Or they're interested in film photography and so they want to talk to me about the camera or about film photography. For some reason, people don't really equate this Leica with that. People who do know what a Leica is obviously notice it and want to talk to me about it, but they are far fewer than the people who notice my Nikon. So it has been much easier for me to get into a crowd and take pictures with this camera than it ever was with my Nikon. Also, the shutter on this camera is so quiet. It just has this beautiful little, sound. It's just so unobtrusive. I could be right next to somebody and they won't hear that shutter sound. Everything about this camera is extremely satisfying to use. The film advance is just so precise and so smooth. The shutter, as I mentioned, is just crisp and beautiful. Just turning the dials, rewinding the film, everything about it. And even this lens, I got this Vogtländer, as I believe it's pronounced in German, so I always like to try to pronounce things properly. The way this is spelled is Voigtlander. So as an American, you would say, oh, it's Voigtlander. Apparently it's Vogtländer. Anybody who is German, let me know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's how I think you're supposed to pronounce the name of this lens. But anyway, it's a third-party lens. It's not a Leica lens. Leica lenses are extremely expensive. I got this for less than half the price of it new, because I bought a used version in Japan, and it's a 35mm f2 Vogtländer Ultron, and I love this as well. It's made of brass, enamel over brass. It has this wonderful little focusing tab that makes focusing very, very quick and snappy. I haven't gotten a lot of my film developed yet. We'll talk a little bit about that, but it seems like it's super sharp. I love the rangefinder. I am focusing on my camera that is filming this video right now. Yeah, that's so quick. I can just, bam, I'm in focus. So basically the rangefinder patch, there's this little rectangle in the middle of the lens, or in the middle of what your viewfinder, and it'll have a ghost image, and you're basically lining up two images. Once they overlap, they are in focus, because this is the rangefinder here, this window. So you're basically triangulating what you're seeing out of the actual viewfinder And then what you're seeing in the rangefinder, this little window here is to illuminate the frame lines that are superimposed in the viewfinder. And this is all done mechanically. It's all so beautiful and precise. So basically with this triangulation from these two windows, you can find the range of your subject. And so what you're seeing through the lens doesn't matter at all. I could have the lens cap on, which I have when I've taken a couple pictures, and you won't know when you're looking through this rangefinder. You can still focus because it's mechanically coupled to the lens. So just knowing where you're positioning the lens, the camera knows. It doesn't know anything, it's all mechanical, but it will be in focus when you have aligned those two images. So you don't need to see through the lens in order to focus. You do need a lens on the camera in order to focus. But I've been getting my head around that. It's a completely different system. On the Nikon SLR, there's a split prism. And when the scene is in focus, it looks in focus in the viewfinder because you're actually seeing through the lens. And if things are out of focus, it looks blurry. Here, everything always looks clear because you're just seeing through the viewfinder. You're not seeing through the lens. And that is a drawback to a certain extent, but it's also kind of a benefit because I'm seeing such a big, bright image. And I can even have this other eye open too, which is nice because with an SLR, you've got the camera right in front of your face. Here, you have kind of peripheral vision. And if I really need to critical focus, I might close that eye. But a lot of times I'm just holding the camera up and snapping pictures. I'm seeing the frame line superimposed over the entire scene. There's a lot to kind of get my head around with the usage of this camera. That being said, I think I'm going to really take to it. It's going to take, I don't know, several months until this is second nature to me, but it's already feeling very ergonomic. It's already feeling like the camera's kind of disappearing. One thing I did, I went out on a photo walk the very first weekend that I had this camera. There's this cool guy I know named Jade, Jade Woods Photography, if you want to look him up on Instagram. He's a nice guy, local, and we went out to go do a photo walk. He has Leicas as well. Had a fun time, took a bunch of pictures, filled up a roll, and when I went to change the roll in my Leica M4, instead of rewinding the roll, which you do by hitting this little rewind lever here, and then taking out this crank and rewinding the film like you would with other cameras, I just opened the bottom without rewinding the film. I don't know why I did that. I've never done that with an SLR. I've always rewound the film before opening the back of my Nikons, but for some crazy reason, I just popped the bottom off and then thought, oh shit, I saw the spool there. I went, oh, and I put it back on, but obviously the damage was done. I figured I had completely destroyed the entire roll, but I developed it anyway. Maybe I'll superimpose some images here as we talk. Some of the pictures kind of turned out, most of them were ruined. Some of them had just really weird light corruption, I guess you would say. So I ruined my first roll of film on my Leica M4 just because I'm a bonehead. I don't know what I was thinking. I just obviously wasn't thinking. But now I have done a whole other roll, and I've shot about half a roll on this. This roll has been half shot. I've got another one that's out. Once I have two rolls, I'm going to develop both of those and see how we're doing. Just preliminarily, it looks like the lens is super sharp. It looks like everything is going well. There's no meter in this camera, and so, you know, you have to rely on your eyeballs and your brain to figure out what the exposure is. I was checking, so with that first roll, I would check with my friend every once in a while and be like, oh, I'm f11, 1/250, and he's like, yeah, that's about what I am too, because he had a meter. But, you know, I'm just kind of using Sunny 16 and gauging if it's a bright sunny day, I'm shooting 400 speed film, then the baseline would be f16, 1/500, and then as you go into darker areas, you just kind of adjust how many stops you think. Usually in the shade, you're going to be about 4 stops darker than the bright sunlight. If it's overcast, you're going to be about 3 stops darker. If it's just hazy or cloudy, maybe 2 stops. Hazy, 1 stop. If you're, I don't know, you kind of develop a taste for that and figure it out. I did order a used Seikonic electronic light meter that I will bring out with me sometimes just to kind of get the baseline. So I'm like, okay, I know that I'm at 3 stops below my baseline, and so then I will adjust from that. And it seems like it's working. I'll probably do a video on that whole Sunny 16 system where you just you figure out the exposure by using your brain instead of using a camera with a light meter or a handheld light meter. And that's what most people did throughout most of the history of photography. It works pretty well. But yeah, I love this thing. I carry it around with me when I'm at home. I have it hanging around my neck. It smells good. It looks good. It sounds good. It does good. I love this thing. And you can expect a lot more content on the Leica M4 coming up. In fact, I'm doing a video just about how I got it, why I got it, the whole situation, the circumstances that led to me getting this camera. So look forward to that on the channel. But yeah, it's my Leica. I love it. I like my Leica, and you'll be seeing it a lot more. But now, gang, it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings, but you probably shouldn't because I hardly ever check Twitter. Or if you are a Patreon supporter, you can write to me via Patreon, go right to the front of the line, or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of this YouTube video or my other YouTube videos. I read through every single one. So we're gonna do the feedback from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things, and then at the end of the feedback section, we're gonna get into that cool comment thread that was on Patreon for that mystery blend. So stay tuned for that. First of all, feedback from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things. Quantum Taurus says, called it. I was mentioning that I had gotten a fancy new camera, and Quantum Taurus, I don't know if he knew it was an M4, but he figured it was a Leica. At Michael Case 8574 says, the Leica has no mirror, so be careful about pointing it directly into the strong sun without a lens cap. The lens can act as a magnifier and burn a hole in the curtain. Yes, it can happen. Yeah, thanks, Michael. And that was something that I definitely read about when I was researching these cameras. I got super paranoid about it even before I ever got the camera. Then I decided, it was no big deal. And now I'm kind of somewhere in between, where obviously I'm not gonna like put this out on a table with the lens pointing up with strong sunlight. The curtain in this is a rubberized cloth curtain, which is why it can burn. It's also why it's so quiet. I'm walking around all day with the lens cap off. I'm fine with that. I'm moving it around. I'm never just sitting there with it pointed at the sun. I'm sure that's fine. And a lot of times when I have my hand on it, I'm kind of like walking like this. I'll have the wine lever out, and I'm kind of like this as I'm walking around. So it's pointed down most of the time anyway, so I'm not worried about that. The only thing I would need to worry about is just setting it down and pointing the lens directly at the sun. I'm gonna be very careful to avoid doing that. At Asia Dicted says, been using my M4 for 10 years. Hope you enjoy yours. Yeah, thank you. And I'm gonna be using mine for at least 10 years. Hopefully for the rest of my life, which hopefully will be longer than 10 years. At Society of Stew says, not sure what you're looking for in a lens, but check out the TT Artisan's 50mm f1.4 M mount. It's considered 90% as good as the $6,000 Leica Summilux for less than $400. I just purchased one and the image and build quality is exceptional, unless of course you were hunting down a vintage lens to match your M4. Thanks for the videos. Yeah, thanks for the advice. I might look into that. I'm trying to decide, like, I'm mostly just always gonna use 35 on this, I think. I may wanna get a 90 at some point because I have frame lines for 90. I have frame lines for 135, well, for 35, 50, 90, and 135. I seriously doubt I'm ever gonna get a 135mm lens for this, but maybe a 90 and maybe a 50, and I'll definitely look into the TT Artisan if I do wanna get a 50. You can actually get reasonably priced Leica 90s. I'm not sure why, but when I was looking at vintage 90mm Leica lenses, they were like a few $100. Well, sometimes more, but they were nowhere near as expensive as like the 35s and 28s and stuff. Interesting. At Hereticarius, would you ever consider hosting a photo walk? I think it would be fun to walk around and take pictures. Yeah, I might do that if there are people local. Maybe. I mean, it's always dangerous. I'm sure most people are nice and it'd be fine. But yeah, I think that would be cool. As long as people aren't maniacs, that might be fun. At Solar Labyrinth says, I cannot believe you can still wear that coat in late June. You would literally die here in Florida right now doing that. So in the last episode, I was wearing my Bronson Manufacturing replica of the M1951 Fishtail Parka. And that is a beautiful coat. I absolutely love it. I'm doing the video review of that is posting this week on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. And yeah, it's not like a super heavy coat. It's pretty light, but it is June. And I think in that particular day, or on that particular day, it was about 52 degrees and overcast and had just stopped raining. Pacific Northwest, baby. Perfect weather here. Maybe you guys don't think that's perfect, but everywhere else is having a horrible heat wave. We're fine. We've been barely out of the high 60s, had rain every once in a while. I think it's supposed to get up to 80 by this Monday, but then just back into the mid 70s. Pacific Northwest, it's perfect. All right, gang, but now we have the feedback from the Patreon exclusive video, Can I Guess the Mystery Blend? So our good friend Les Brady sent me a cool package that had some GLP's blends, but then it also included a canning jar that had a mystery blend inside. And he thought it might be fun to do a video where I try to guess what the blend was. And he was right. It was very fun. I did a video on Patreon. It posted last week, and basically I tried the blend. I smelled it, I looked at it, I tried to determine what the different components were based on the aroma and the look of the blend. Then I tried some of it. And in my mind, I was very confident about what was in the blend as far as the varietals of pipe teas. But then I was trying to decide what the actual blend was specifically, and that's so hard. But I decided that it was an Oriental Forward English blend, like a Balkan blend. I definitely tasted Turkish Orientals, I tasted Latakia, I tasted Virginias, and when I was thinking about it, I thought it felt very familiar. Like I had tasted it before. And for some reason, my mind was going to Frogmorton. Is it On the Town? I still forgot to look that up. I think On the Town was the Oriental Forward Balkan blend kind of version of the Frogmorton series. If that's incorrect, correct me in the comments below. And so that's where I just decided to go, even though I wasn't very confident in that. So when I posted that video, I didn't know what the answer was, and we were going to wait for the comment section of that Patreon video to post and then figure out what it was. So we have some comments from there. We have CH via Patreon who says, I have a guess, but I don't want to ruin the big reveal. Les Brady replied, give it a shot. CH said, MacBaron HH Balkan blend. And then he said, probably not, but that's what first came to mind. Carl Kessler said, good luck. I'm no help with a Latakia or a McClelland. I can't S the former, and I started S-ing after the latter. And I replied, no worries. Hopefully Les will reveal it soon. Glenn W. Dunnington said, what a great video. And then finally, Les Brady said, well, it's not a frog, and it's not a Dunhill. I think maybe I had mentioned London mixture too or something. However, early on you mentioned Balkan, which is getting warmer. Let me know if you'd like to guess again or if you just like the big reveal. So I did another guess. I said Balkan Sobrani, even though it didn't seem, the cut wasn't like Balkan Sobrani at all. It had more of a kind of coarse cut. Balkan Sobrani has more like ribbony, long ribbons. Les Brady said, really close. And then I said, okay, reveal at long last the mystery blend. Ha ha ha. And Les says, and the tea is Balkan Sassiani. I never know how to pronounce that properly. I've never heard anyone actually who produces that blend pronounce it properly. I think when I reviewed it back in the day, I was saying Sassini, I don't know. Balkan Sassieni, which I believe Bradley reviewed a long time ago, which is why it seemed familiar. And he nailed all the components. Hey, look at that. So, I replied, nice, it's been quite a while since I had it last. I won't say I was super close, but at least I was in the right ballpark. So it's nice to know that I can at least determine which components are in a particular blend just by having one bowl. I mean, I would think I'd be able to do that. And there are certain blends that I would definitely know if I had. I mean, if you gave me a blind taste test and gave me some Elizabethan, I would know immediately that it was Elizabethan. I would know by the smell, the taste, or by the smell and the look, and then when I tasted it, it would be obvious that that was Elizabethan. There are blends like that, like Nightcap. There are a lot of blends that I would know right off the bat. With this, obviously it's a blend that I haven't had in a very long time, but I'm glad that I knew the components in it. I knew that it was a Balkan blend, and I got pretty close. So that's kind of gratifying. Let me know in the comments below how you think you would have done if you had, or if you've ever tried to do that, a blind taste test of a pipe blend. Pretty fun and great idea. Thanks again to Les for coming up with that and sending it along. All right, gang, but now it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support Stuff and Things on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. If you like anything we do on Stuff and Things YouTube or Stuff and Things Patreon, $5 a month is the best way to show your support, and it also gets you access to early and ad-free videos, and you will eventually have the full archive of all the pipe blend reviews we ever did on YouTube. I had to take them off of YouTube because YouTube doesn't want them there anymore, and I'm putting them all on Patreon. So eventually we're gonna have the entire archive that you'll be able to access if you are a Patreon supporter. So every week we like to shout out those who support the channels at $25 or more a month, the producers of Stuff and Things. People like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, Jonathon Proctor, The Friendly Piper, GreatGrol, Glenn, Just Glenn, David Severin, Nicholas James, Kyle Whitmore, Mr. Gibson, and Chris Caughey. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channel at $100 a month, people like stolid and dependable Bob Magee. And we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. Gang, what can you look forward to exclusively on Patreon this week? Well, of course, we will have the video of the Bronson Parka, the M-1951 Fishtail Parka replica. That will be posting early and ad-free on Patreon on Monday. But then on Thursday, we will have my original review of Peterson Irish Flake from April 22nd of 2015, so over 10 years ago. And that was a blend that I really liked back in the day, and I still like now, but it has changed a bit. So this is a review of the, well, I don't know if it's even the original version, but the version from 10 years ago, which is a bit different from the a bit different from the version you're getting now. And I really loved it back then. So check that video out. That will be posting this Thursday on Patreon. Stay tuned for all the other good stuff coming up. There will be so much more Leica stuff coming up with this M4. I still can't believe I got this. I got such a ridiculously amazing deal on this. It's kind of life-changing. Anyway, until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.